All right, guys, what's up? What I'm doing here is similar to Nathan Duke on Facebook in the Sonic community. We've been having the same issue with, over crankcase pressures higher than normal, I guess you can say, and we were getting oil blow by running through the turbo, stuff like that, going into the intake, blah, blah, blah. My setup's going to be similar to his setup. Believe it or not, I had the same setup that he has right now prior to him having that setup done. I know that Andre Pop also helped him with the setup. Andre wanted to do something different where he would cap off right here instead of using the oil cap. But Nathan Duke went with the oil cap method right here, which is, I guess, better than drilling into your valve cover and stuff like that. So what I'm doing is I'm going to run something different. I'm still going to be running this right here. I'm still going to be running the inlet into the turbo off of an oil catch can, but I have a dual inlet catch can to where I'm going to be running because I have this top of my intake manifold capped off. I do have a homemade PCV fix kit in here right now running down to the throttle body spacer, the B&R throttle body spacer, which will also work on the ZZP throttle body spacer. But let me show you guys what I'm going to do right here. Come over here to my little workshop, I guess you can say, where I had taken stuff apart. So this is another intake I have. I ported the intake, and then I also am making a homemade PCV fix kit. A little bit cheaper than what Andre Pop offers to do it, but sourcing all the parts and stuff like that, if you don't know what to do with that, I'd say go with Andre Pop's setups. He's got the V1, V2, all that stuff, V3. It all depends on how you want to run stuff. Some stuff will require you to run a throttle body spacer like I am, or he has a setup that'll run to the purge valve canister or purge valve solenoid, and you can tap into that to run through. However, my setup, this is what I did. So obviously ported the intake already. I drilled a hole right here. This is where, oh, you guys can't see. Let's see if I can get my flashlight out and you guys can see if that'll stay up. So inside this center port right here, there is, it's not going to focus, but there's a little hole inside there with a bunch of little perforated dots. That's where your little orange check valve would sit. My check valve was in there, but it was not working correctly to where part of the flap was missing on the round disc. How that happened, I have no idea. So what I did is I went out and I purchased a couple things right here. First thing, I got this guy right here, which I used this guy here, step bit. I think it went down to 3/8 size of a hole. And I put this on here to where it just started to catch. And once it started to catch, it made its own threads, as you can see right there. Its own looking own threads right there. They're not actually gold. It's just some of the brass off of this kind of went onto the plastic. So what I have right here is let's see if it'll focus on these little part tags here that you guys can see. Let's see. So it's a 1/4 inch. The inside thread right here. Inside of here is a 1/4 inch thread, and the male end right here is a 1/8 inch thread for going into here. Now what's going to attach to that is a 3/8 hose barb. As you can see, the 3/8 hose barb by a 1/4 millimeter or a 1/4 inch male thread, which is going to screw into this one right here. And then this is going to go onto the throttle body spacer, and that is a 3/8 hose barb by a 1/8 male thread, which is going to screw right inside to one of the ports of the throttle body spacer. And then from there, I'm going to attach this UPR 3/8 check valve. Now this is a 0 PSI cracking check valve, so it works. See if I can blow on it. You guys can hear. Perfect suction. It's actually got a little small ball check valve in there with a spring. So unlike the diaphragms, it's got the little ball, and this is a very good, highly rated check valve. I think it's rated up to 300 psi. I could be wrong. It might be 150, but I think I read 300. But anyways, it's way more than what we'll need for our setups. So yeah, so this guy will screw onto here, and then this guy will screw onto that, and this guy will screw onto the actual thing. Then obviously I push all the hoses together, cut it to the right length so it's nice and straight, go into the throttle body spacer. I'll show you guys when it's all finished. And then I will show you guys the setup I'm going to be running for the catch can. Now it's just a cheap catch can off of Amazon. I'm just trying it out to see if it actually works. Now if it does work, I will be getting a different catch can, but I want to make sure the setup works first prior to getting the more expensive $250 catch can. So stay tuned. Oh wait, my bad. One other thing here. So like Andre's kit, I have a screw right here that has a rubber washer on the back, and I also have some Loctite plastic epoxy. And what I'm going to do is obviously goop the inside of this washer, the outside of this washer right here, with the epoxy, screw it into, let's see if I can get anything better in here for you guys to see, and then screw into, there we go. See that little hole right there, the small hole with the small perforated dots around it? I'm going to screw into that with that, and the epoxy is going to plug up those holes. And come on, focus. It doesn't want to focus right now. Anyways, it's going to plug up those small holes, and then obviously harden up and stop any more vacuum from the intake being sucked through. It'll be redirected into this guy here, which will then go through all those things there, through the check valve. You're going to want it to where the flow of the check valve is flowing this way. And then once the intake manifold's under pressure from the boost, it'll prevent any backflow of that pressure going into the intake by obviously closing it off with the this guy right here. So you guys can see there's an arrow blowing that way, so I'll actually have it this way. So the arrow's going to be pointing towards the throttle body spacer. All together for all this stuff right here cost me like, I think 29 bucks altogether. Let's just average it up to about 40 bucks with the epoxy and stuff like that. So it is a good, $35 savings from the Andre Pops kit, but his kit's probably better. It's better, I guess better as in he has everything already set up. You gotta just buy it. Boom, you don't have to search for any of this stuff here. I had to go to different hardware stores. I had to go to online to get this. Had to get the lines from the hardware store too. It's a fuel hose, 3/8 ID. But yeah, so I will show you guys this thing all set up when it's all finished, how I set it all up, and then I'll show you guys the catch can routing for it. Okay guys, got my intake off my car. As you can see how the, whoops, there's still fuel in there. As you can see my other PCV fix kit, I have an elbow going in there instead, but the elbow won't twist all the way in as far as I want it to, so I got that little extension. And there's a check valve there, and then it goes to the throttle body spacer. And I'm also changing out my fuel rail. Another fuel rail for my other intake. And I'll be changing out this guy right here, which is the MAF sensor. That's the part number for it, if you guys can see. And then I'll show you guys where the NOx sensor is located. NOx sensor is located right here. So it's right below the cylinder 3 port right here. It goes right there. So I'm just going to take that thing out, put that new one in. And then what my issue was, I'm not sure if you guys can see or not, got the shadow from my light, but I was going to let an oil build up inside of here, and it was bypassing and going into my things here. Even when I had another setup similar to Nathan Duke's setup, except he has a Y in his setup from the manifold and the oil cap connecting together with a Y. I had a T, and it was fighting each other. The back pressure was fighting each other for both the oil cap return line and the top of the intake manifold port. They were both connected together, and they're in a T, and they're fighting each other. So when when I heard Nathan Duke put a T in there, I told him suggested him using a Y, so they can be directed together into the so it'll be wide like this, so that one be coming this way, one be coming this way, and they go into the same port instead of fighting each other with a T, where this guy would be coming this way and then this one would be pushing up against that, or pushing up against this way, and the T with them together would be fighting each other trying to get out. So the Y was the better choice. And you guys can ask him and verify with him that, you know, I had the setup prior to him. That's why I suggested certain things to him. But Andre told him what setup to use, not knowing it was the same setup as what I have. But either way, we're here to help each other out in the community, so it shouldn't really matter who had it first, as long as it's working. But yeah, so that's all disconnected. Going to hook the stuff up on the other intake manifold. Okay guys, the intake manifold's all set and ready to go. Let me show you how this is all ran. Into that, to there, flow going towards the throttle body, and it taps into the throttle body spacer. And what you're going to have to do after that is, let me flip this thing over, is for this guy right here, this is the top port of your intake manifold. What I'm going to have to do is, what I did actually do, sorry, is your old hose that you have right here. It goes from your intake manifold down to your turbo inlet. I have it set up right now to where I already have the turbo inlet check valve already on the hose. So this is a setup for the catch can. This is the clean air, which goes all the way down to their turbo. This one right here is for the oil cap vent, and this one right here, which I'm going to be cutting this hose down a lot shorter than this, and I'll be using this hose right here because this is a 5/8 hose. Okay, I got a 5/8 down to a 1/2 inch reducer right here, both barbed ends, and then I had to take off my stock thing that goes on top of here, the stock clip, clamp, elbow, whatever it is, goes onto here. Now inside of this thing, when you guys take this thing off, it's probably not going to let me focus, but inside there you see there's a plastic ring underneath the metal clip. You see a plastic ring, then you see an O-ring. Those two things are mandatory, have to be in this or it will not work properly. So it goes O-ring first, then the plastic ring on top of that, which keeps it in place. Then you have your actual clip right here. Now I'll be connecting this obviously to the 5/8 line, running it off of here, going to here. I'm going to cut this down short, and it's going to go into the catch can. The catch can is baffled catch can. Let's see if I can unscrew it for you guys really quick. So give me a second here. Okay guys, finally got the catch can open. What the issue was is these barbed ends right here. They go in so tight that they were up against this right here. As you can tell, I got scratched a little bit on the finish. So it was a pain in the butt to get it loose. Anywho, it's off now, and I can show you guys that it is a baffled catch can and a filtered catch can as well. So the air that's coming in through this hose and this hose here goes through here, bounces off of that or bounces off the inside of here, and the stuff that gets sucked back up goes through here, the clean air, and it gets filtered and then goes out to the turbo. So when you guys do take these things off, you are going to have to destroy your current hose. No matter what, you still keep this no matter what. This goes to your not your wastegate, but your bypass valve, and this goes to the intake itself, intake manifold. But heat these things up right here, the shrink wrap, heat it up, cut it, be nice and easy with it, twist it back and forth, pop this check valve off, and then same with this other end cap right here that goes on top of the thing right there. But like I said earlier, make sure you guys do not lose, come on, focus, do not lose that plastic ring and that O-ring that's inside there. Very essential. If not, it will not click down tight and it will not get a tight seal. But yeah, as you can tell, it's going to be on my ZZP heat shield. That's what's going to be mounted on there. And then once everything's all mounted up, I'll show you guys how I got it all routed and everything. And yeah, we'll go from there. All right, guys, before I go any further, I want to show you guys one thing I like to remove, which will make it a lot easier to put, because if you're running a throttle body spacer, it obviously will bring the throttle body closer this way. Now, this mount right here, this is your engine mount for pulling the engine and stuff like that. It also holds this thing in place, but the way this thing sits right here and is mounted right here, there's no issues at all. Sometimes this guy gets in the way of your throttle body spacer, and your intake manifold will not sit flush properly without putting too much stress and bends on it. So I suggest removing this. It's just a little screw right, too bright, screw right there. You can see that screw? Let me get down inside here. That screw you see right there, that little hex screw or star screw. You can use a 10 mil to get that off. And obviously take the mount out and then put the screw back in so you guys don't lose it. And then put the mount in, I don't know, the back of your trunk or in your glove box so you don't lose it. Okay, guys, everything's in now. I got this guy routed right here to the top, comes up and around underneath my flex fuel kit, wraps around and goes under the inlet of the catch can. And then this one right here goes across, straps into there, comes down to the oil cap. So both of these are venting into this catch can right here, and then it gets routed from here all the way through over top, and then connects right there to the manifold, to the inlet of the turbo. So that's a check valve right here. The check valve you can probably see right there, which is going to the throttle body spacer. Injectors, everything's all hooked up. Let's give it a pop and see if it'll start. No, it will not start. I think the reason is because I got a check engine light, and it is actually the new map sensor I put on. So what we'll do is we'll just come over here and we'll start it now. Just so you guys know, with the ported throttle body, it's a pain in the ass to start when you have the when you're running E85. So it's gonna have a rough start right now with the E85 in it, but let me see. I got 85 in it and a mix of regular fuel. Once I get the regular fuel in, it'll be starting no problem and no issues. So you guys can see check engine light right there. Everything's running good. What I'm probably going to do is probably switch out that map sensor. Hopefully it'll get rid of that check engine light. But I also replaced the knock sensor too, which is good. But yeah, everything's flowing and running like it should. I'm going to eventually get a 90 for this, so that when it's so I can have it turn more this way, so there's not such a big bend in it, and have it run through this way. Now the other can I want to get has two inlets going. Let me kill this car. Hold on a second. So like I was saying, the other catch can I want to get has, and my friggin' fans on, hopefully it doesn't interrupt the volume that much. Anyways, the other catch can I want to get has two inlets right here and then an outlet right here. So there'll be a dual inlet in the front and then a single outlet this way, which will be less bends, stuff like that in the actual running system. So, but yeah, everything's all hooked up, and I will, in the description, I will eventually do an edit and an update edit to this so you guys know exactly how well it's working. I'll give you guys a good heads up. But This setup right here is very similar to the one that Nathan Duke is running. Nathan Duke can be found in any of the Sonic forums on Facebook. But what he has is his running, these two running together with a Y, and then it splits into a single catch can, single inlet, and a single outlet. I'm going to test this one out, let him know how this thing works, and you know, maybe he might swap it out and do this setup as well. I'm not sure, but right off the bat, I can tell you right now, I do not smell any oil at all in the exhaust. Before I could, all I smell now is just fuel vapor. So this thing must be working as it's supposed to be working. So I'm gonna swap out that map sensor, and then yeah, I'll be on my way. So until the next one, guys, peace. All right, guys, I'm not done yet. I want to do a quick video of it starting because I did switch out the map sensor, and it should start no problem. There we go. Also, check out Cruze Mafia on Facebook, along with Sonic Mafia and Chevy Cruze and Sonic World. Until then.